Holy smokes, the Toronto Raptors just made a shocking trade, acquiring Kelly Olynk as well as Ochai Agbaji from the Utah Jazz. The reports were true that came out last night. The Raptors were negotiating, making these trade discussions, and they got a pretty solid haul in this trade package, not giving too much out in order to acquire these guys from the Utah Jazz. I've seen some split opinions on this deal because, again, we thought this was Bruce Brown, but apparently our first is going out on this trade, so we'll break down the details on this report, who we're getting back in Ochai as well as Kelly Olynyk, and, what this means for the Toronto Raptors' approach to the rest of this season and everything that's going on. But things are going crazy right now. Again, stay up to date with everything regarding the Toronto Raptors. Subscribe to the channel. We want to keep you posted on all of the latest Toronto Raptors news. But we got a Woj bomb dropping here today, as basically the Toronto Raptors are trading away Kira Lewis. So the new guy that we picked up in that sort of Pascal Siakam trade package from the Pelicans didn't play for us. I think he played for the 905 a little bit, so nothing there. Otto Porter Jr., been on the team for 2 seasons, made over probably $15 million from the Toronto Raptors organization, has barely played whatsoever, but we also deal away a 2024 first-round pick. Now, as of recording, I haven't seen which first this is. I'd imagine it's probably the one that's between the Thunder, the pick that's going to end up being the Thunder's pick. I'd be surprised if we traded away the Pacers deal, but again, we heard that, and Masai Ujiri said that this year's sort of trade, or this draft, isn't super intriguing to him. Again, I think the draft is always a little bit of a mess anyways. You don't know how players are going to turn out, so I would have been fine if we kept all of our draft picks this year. Again, if we're trading our own, the bottom 6, it's a bit more of a risk, but we have the Detroit Pistons second. We have one of the Pacers or the Thunder's pick here now at this point as well. I mean, I'm fine dealing away a first for 2 guys that really look like a big pickups for the Toronto Raptors. So let's dive into who we are getting in this trade, because basically Ochai Agbaji is a guy that, again, we discussed. Hustler on the defensive end, offensive end. He shoots a lot of threes, even though his percentages aren't super elite from that area. Again, shooting 4 threes per game last season in his rookie year for the Utah Jazz. This year has taken a major leap, a little bit of a step back, but only still 23 years old. Plays the wing position, plays defense. Is a guy with a lot of potential in the league, averaging 5 points per game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and his frames. He's a guy that's 6'5", only 23, getting close to 24 years old, but is a player that has a lot of potential. Is regarded as one of the main pieces coming back to the Utah Jazz in that Donovan Mitchell deal. So, I mean, I'm pretty pumped getting him as a prospect. Again, we're looking at first-round picks. The draft is always a little bit of a crapshoot. So, that first-round pick that we dealt to the Utah Jazz, that's kind of like Ochai here, coming back to the Toronto Raptors. That's basically like our first-round pick. That's a little bit more developed. That fits that Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett timeline, and we'll see how he sort of develops in this Toronto Raptors system. So that's why I'm not worried about this first-round pick, going out. He's a guy that spaces the floor. Again, do I have a shooting splits here? Yep. He made 46% of corner threes last season. He's making 40% from behind the three-point line this year. Again, he gets assisted on a lot of those jump shots. He's like one of those potential 3-and-D players, but, he takes a lot of threes. Apparently, over 57% of his shots come from behind the three-point line, so definitely a guy that takes a lot of those shots. Is athletic, is young. I'm pretty pumped about this acquisition. Now, we have a lot of players playing that position, so that might be a bit of a concern for the Toronto Raptors, but another guy we got in this deal is huge, and that is Kelly Olynyk, which I'm shocked that we only had to give up probably a late first in order to get Kelly Olynyk as well as Ochai Agbaji. Basically, Kelly Olynyk, again, he's older, he's 33 years old, but his game is going to mature pretty well given the fact he's a floor spacing big man, 6'11", he's Canadian. Canadian fans, Toronto Raptors fans probably know who he is, but 8 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. The Raptors, if we're going to win some games, need front court depth. That's what we need. This Toronto Raptors group needs some more players that can play the center position, because when Jakob Poeltl went out, we looked sorry. And I said it, with Jakob Poeltl back in the lineup, we're going to look better. But that was a fortified front court, and Kelly Olynyk as well as Jakob Poeltl. Now, we might end up flipping Kelly Olynyk. That's something that could come out. Again, trades are coming out left, right, and center, so I'll be pretty shocked. I'm going to keep all this stuff going on here now at this point. But basically, the Toronto Raptors are going on here. I got a bunch of texts. I'm getting distracted, but we could potentially flip Kelly Olynyk for more assets. I mean, the Utah Jazz were looking for a first in return for Kelly Olynyk. He is an unrestricted free agent come the end of the summer. So again, you have to re-sign him next year if you want to keep him long term. But again, another Canadian guy to pair alongside RJ Barrett. We're trading for Wiggins next, folks. But Kelly Olynyk, again, he's a center with an amazingly high basketball IQ. Chris Boucher is a player that spaces the floor, is bigger, could probably block more shots than Kelly Olynyk, but it was discussed how Darko Rajokovic wants players on this court that know how to facilitate, can play within the flow of the offense, can, elevate the teammates around them. And Kelly Olynyk can do that. He was a point guard growing up, through high school ranks and had a crazy growth spurt. And that's why he plays a lot of, above the break basketball. It's why he's such a good shooter. That's why he can kind of dribble for a 6'11" big man. And we've seen Kelly Olynyk, when playing for some rebuilding teams in the past, put up some dumb stats. I mean, just 2 seasons ago was averaging 19 points per game for the Houston Rockets. I mean, he is a steal in this trade. He is a massive, massive pickup. So I am pumped to see this pickup for the Toronto Raptors. Regardless if we keep him or flip him, I think we could get some salt. Now, if Danny Ainge can get a crazy package for him, I don't know. Masai Ujiri, I think, really won this trade, and rarely can say that going up against Danny Ainge. It depends on the draft pick that we gave up. I'd imagine it's one of our later 2024s, but we'll see. But I'm pumped. I think fortifying this front court, I know the tank, I did the animation, we're all buying into this here now at this point, and, this trade hurts our chances of keeping our draft pick for this year, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm buying into this team. I know I'm a Raptors homer. I know all that. I get how it goes, but we look so much better with both RJ Barrett and Jakob Poeltl in the lineup. We look like a much better basketball team. We almost beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. RJ was out during that ugly Pelicans loss, but we beat the Charlotte Hornets, even though it was kind of a back and forth game. RJ Barrett's kind of been our best player since these Pascal and OG trades have gone down. Him in the lineup, Scotty in the lineup, quickly in the lineup, now with Kelly Olynyk, Agbaji. We have some players. I'm not saying the tank is off or things like that, but I'm intrigued to see what Masai Ujiri is going to do, because this Raptors team, madness is ensuing. And I am locked to my phone. I'm locked to see what stuff is going on here now at this point. I mean, I am very, very happy with this trade. Regardless if we keep Kelly Olynyk or not, I don't mind giving up one of our firsts. Agbaji is basically a first, and then you also get Kelly Olynyk in this trade package. You have his bird rights to keep him long term. He's a guy that would perfectly fit the floor spacing mentality around Scotty Barnes, around an RJ Barrett. This team is just going to be more and more unlocked with Kelly Olynyk in the lineup due to his floor spacing as well as passing ability. I mean, he's a guy that he doesn't take a lot of corner threes, but previous seasons made over 50% of his three-point shots from the corners. I mean, he takes about 32% of his shots from behind the three-point line this season, making 40. We're getting a big man that's shooting 43% from behind the three-point line. How are people complaining about this deal? I don't even know the reactions. I just immediately ran to this. My camera took 2 minutes to set up. I'm frustrated about that. But frankly, guys, I am fired up. I'm pumped to see what the Toronto Raptors do right now. Keep it locked to Raptors Digest, because we're going to keep you up to date with all the latest Toronto Raptors news. Subscribe to the channel. You guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.